Would you mind introducing yourself and what you do?
Dr. Connor Robertson, company name's on the hat here, Syntacz, syntacz.com. It's syntacz.com. We basically are a business development company. The way our offers work is we are focused on organic prospecting. So there's really two channels we work on, LinkedIn and email, and we work with agencies, coaches, consultants, business owners, tech founders, SaaS companies, pretty much anyone that's B2B, high ticket service-based company. We help them put appointments on the calendar. And our big value prop for most of the people that we work with is we build the system and our customers own the system. So we do a lot of work that's non-recurring in nature, and that helps take an early stage company and help them grow with the maximum number of profits. So we actually launched this company January of 2019. So we're about 30 months in at this point. My business partner, Keith, he lives out in Denver. Company is incorporated out there. I'm in Pittsburgh, but our team is all over the world. We got people in the US, Canada. We got people in Mexico. We got people in Philippines, Bangladesh, India. We got all the corners of the world there. We even have you guys and your team from UK represent. You got the miniature Big Ben back there. So we have a good team, a lot of people that are really focused on growing the company. But again, our value prop is pretty simple. Scale businesses without ads. That's it.
So what made you decide to kind of jump on board with us, hire us as a setting agency?
Yeah, so actually very interesting kind of backstory in this. A lady on our sales team originally, Alifia, had a call set with Mike, actually, when we were looking at helping coaching sales with some work, the other side of your guys' company. And they set up a call and they're going back and forth. And I ended up jumping on the phone because I'm like, I don't know if what we're trying to do here is the best fit. Let me get on the phone and let's meet. And the funny thing is 2 weeks before that, I was actually in Miami, which is where Mike lives. They're just outside of Miami there at Fort Lauderdale. And I was like, man, you're in Fort Lauderdale. I was just there, whatever. Ended up going back and I met Mike in person, just randomly at some like WeWork shared facility kind of thing. And so I was like, all right, we ended up deciding to work together, jumped in, did a little beta. And then it was like, oh, wow, like your guys' offer is performing really well with our email service. And then I started to think to myself, well, if we can generate the leads and you guys can do the traffic change being, I have the lead and I want the appointment, all that setting activity, then it makes tons of sense for us to do something together. Because at the end of the day, it was either me or my brother or someone else on the team setting appointments all day. And the balance was set appointments, take appointments, set appointments, take appointments. And there just was no time to do both, especially as we started scaling up. So I was like, all right, Mike, how can we make this work? Right. He's like, well, we have this done for you setter option. I'm like, okay, I don't even know what that is, but that sounds cool. And probably the number one reason we jumped, in my opinion, is I don't want to manage more people. Obviously, we have interactions, we have to talk once in a while, but I didn't want to have to bring someone in-house, put them on payroll, and then have to manage them every single day and teach them things that I didn't know how to do. So I just told Mike, I said, listen, you tell me what to do. You're the expert. You guys know what you're doing. Tell me how we can make this work. And so that was the start of Done For You Setters.
When we got started with each other, how quickly do you think that kind of transition was made? How quickly were we able to get started with you guys and your platforms and such?
Yeah, I think it was pleasantly surprising how it came together. Because my whole thought was this, like typically it takes 90 days to ramp somebody up, get going, train a new person, build out the SOPs. But I think your guys' big thing is Facebook groups and you have some specific parts of the setting process that we never had. So I think in the first 2 weeks, we dialed in LinkedIn Growth Machine and our email inbox, got those two things set up. And then you guys really were pushing on, hey, what about a Facebook group? We didn't have a Facebook group. So I think we've been working together 12 weeks now, maybe 13 weeks. 11 weeks ago, we started a Facebook group and took it to 2,200 members in 11 weeks, which is not bad. It's not great, but it's good enough. You know what I mean? And most of it's through organic traffic, about 98% organic. So I think that the cool thing is you had quick ramp with our SOPs that other people didn't have. And then we also took all the stuff that you guys said we should do and just started implementing it, even though that's not the service. The service isn't to tell us what to do, but it ended up being, hey, if you think we can build a group, let's build a group.
What do you think the biggest difference was? So I know you covered it a tad there, but like, what was the biggest difference between obviously you being in all the inboxes, your brother? I know you mentioned that, but what were those kind of largest differences you've seen from before and after working with us?
Yeah, probably predictability. We are good at getting appointments on the calendar, prospecting, appointment setting, doing the whole thing, but there's always like a day or a week that's light or appointment slots that are missing. And then I got to stop and start. And there's like a big time suck. I think another big thing is with you guys, because it's so quick and it's not my job to set the appointment, when somebody cancels or no shows or rescheduled, is if it's within 4 hours, you guys are setting it again. So the calendar is 100% full. Now is something that we never had that option before. If somebody no showed or canceled, done. That spot was blank and I was, working on the business during that slot instead. So now it's just filled up right away. We just go to the next call.
What have you actually found is the kind of your favorite part about working with us?
Probably management, right? Like I don't want to have to manage a ton of people. We already have a ton of people on our team that I need to talk to every day, or operations Keith, there are other people on the team. We have to always have these conversations. What we're looking for is, hey, can we have this integrative approach where you guys represent our brand, but I don't have to manage and create the infrastructure, whether it's a virtual assistant on your team setting something, or it's you getting on the phone for a dial, or someone else getting on the phone. It's just nice to have that comprehensive, I pay you guys X amount of dollars. You guys come back towards us and just say, okay, here's the deliverable. I don't have to worry about who's doing the work, how they're doing the work. Like I just don't have to worry about that stuff. I just rather just pay to have it solved.
And how did you find the kind of initial transfer of trust? Now, handling over the reins is obviously something that can be a little bit scary, especially when starting with a whole team.
Sure.
You're not going to be managing that team. You're going to be basically letting them get on with your SOPs. And
I didn't really find that big of a deal. I'm sure some people out there with their businesses would look at that and say, oh, it's a lot of responsibility. It's, listen, dude, you got to put the ego aside and just say, hey, we didn't have this company and before January of 19, it's like not that big of a deal if it implodes. So let's just keep going. You know what I mean? Just start the process, trust the process, execute. And if it fails, it just is what it is. So I don't think that was a big thing for me looking at it and saying, okay, this is a trust issue. It was just tell me what I need to do instead of me telling you what to do. I think that's probably the biggest thing that's different. Most people who work with you guys probably come in and try to tell you what they need. I came into this process and said, what do I need to do to be successful with you? I think that's like an accountability ego thing where it's like, you got to drop the ego, have the accountability, go up and just execute. And most people probably don't do that.
And to back that up with a little bit of numbers, to actually give you some kind of context of some of the numbers we've seen over the past 3 months, we've actually only been working together for 3 months, which is crazy. What we've seen from you is a 32% close rate. Now, from Rev that we have actually closed, or you guys have closed, it's been 439K on Rev close from a 32% close rate from appointments that we have set to you guys. Now, we set around 311 appointments, and out of 286 of those calls, they've shown, and that obviously equates to 32% close rate at the 439K. That is also some crazy numbers.
Yeah, I think there's a couple things that are good. Number, obviously, the lead flow or the channel that we're setting from is LinkedIn and email. I think that's important for people to know. It's not really Facebook ads. We're getting them mostly from LinkedIn and email. And I think fundamentally that allows for a high show rate. I think across the board, we're averaging 92% show rate, which is pretty much untouchable. I would say most ad companies are getting 50 to 60%. If they're really good, maybe 70 to 80%. And also we take everything on a one call, right? I think a lot of people are like, oh, I got a 50% show rate to my first call and a 50% show rate to my second call. Dude, that's a 25% aggregate show rate. You have to set 100 appointments to get 20 people to actually show up to get 5 deals on a 20% close, because you're setting 2 appointments and you have bad show rate. So for us, it's 92% show when we do one call. So it's one of those things that's so easy.
Yeah. And actually, you guys do have a really high close rate as well, so we should mention that. Now, we have had 91 sales since working together. What would you say to somebody that is thinking about jumping on with Done For You set?
I think it's a couple different things. The biggest thing is offer. You have to have a good offer, right? You can't set appointments on a crappy offer, so you better make sure that your business is actually a good offer. That's the number one thing. If you can build it and create it and have a good price point, and you're willing to spend 2% of revenue for an appointment and 10% for a deal, you're good all day long. So if you have a 10K offer, you're willing to spend $1,000 for acquisition and $200 per appointment, you're going to be laughing all the way to the bank because all the numbers work out. It's when you get into a small offer, a 2, 3, maybe 4K offer with no back end, with bad show up rates and all that, that's where it becomes very problematic. But if you have a good offer with something that people want, that are willing to pay for it, then it makes tons of sense, because essentially you're taking that middle piece of the sales process and just delegating the whole thing, which for us, by the way, principally speaking, last year I wrote a book called this 7-minute phone call, how to get more shit done in less time. And basically the principle in that is EPAD, eliminate, prioritize, automate, delegate. Eliminate, prioritize, automate, delegate. D, the last step is delegate. That's what we've done with you guys. We've taken a sales function that we don't want to do, that we're not good at, and we have delegated it to someone like you who is extremely good at it. So it absolutely makes sense to follow that framework. Get rid of all the stuff that doesn't matter, prioritize the stuff that does, run as much automation as possible, and then delegate that function to somebody who's actually good at it. It follows all our principles, works for us, seems like a great fit for anybody who actually has a real business.
Did you have any kind of uncertainties or hesitancies before jumping on with us, guys? Or, was it pretty much just, this makes sense, let's do it?
All business owners have a risk tolerance. My risk tolerance is pretty heavy, pretty high, I guess you'd call that, and I'm willing to take risk. I think there are some people that might be a little bit concerned about the outcome, but really the way I see it is like, listen, the worst case scenario, you spend money and it doesn't work out for you. Okay, you've lost a little bit of money. It's not that big of a deal. It's not like your life's going to change either way. But what I do tell people is if you don't try it, you'll never know. I've told Mike this a few times. I really stand behind Done for you setters is still the best investment we've made to date. We've worked with a lot of ad agencies trying to tell us that they can get us appointments. We've worked with other people that, claim to be great at certain functions in a business. It really, hands down, dollar for dollar, this is probably the best investment we've made to date. There's really nothing else that I can say about that.
Do you have anything else you want to close out with?
I think fundamentally you guys act really a lot more like consultants, right? I think people look at setting as either done for you function or done with you function, a hiring function. But I think one of the value adds that's probably misrepresented by you guys is just you guys know what grows companies. For us, it's like we didn't have a Facebook group 11 weeks ago, 12 weeks ago. It was like that wasn't in my roadmap of Syntacz is going to build a Facebook group. That wasn't in there. That's just not part of the plan. But it became part of the plan because you guys said, hey, this is a great opportunity to have people come in, teach content, set appointments, push people through the ecosystem and grow the business. So you guys really gave me a framework that I didn't really have before that I think is a lot better than the average professional service. So I'd say it's really done for you setters plus, right? There's always that extra piece that you guys have provided. So I think 2 thumbs up all around, great service. Love all the work that you guys are doing.